Once again, greetings. Enough of the good day shit, good evening, because I don't know where the hell most of my viewers are from. I don't know what time zone you're in. I don't know what time of day it is. So greetings, people. Another wonderful day here in Wisconsin. Again, just got off work on my way home. A 1.7 mile walk. Now, this is part 3 of the survival and prepping videos that I have been posting. Now, I want to make it clear that these tips and everything else that I am posting about have worked well for me. If they don't work for you, that's fine. Don't give up. Find something that works for you. This is what has worked for me. Obviously, not everything is going to work for the same person, for everybody. Now, sorry, quick break. Gotta smoke. What I'm going to try and do is incorporate a little bit of information about me and my team at the beginning of every video, so this way you, the viewers, have a better understanding of the RRCU and where it came from. Because again, knowledge. Now, we as the RRCU, we do not judge. We're not going to judge our members. We're not going to judge those that we are in alliance with. Because who are we to judge? You don't judge me, I won't judge you. And believe me, I can be a very judgmental asshole. Now, the RRCU started off as the RR back in 2004. Me and a few friends got together. We had the same ideas, we had the same interests, the same likes. So we said, fuck it. We're gonna do things this way and see what happens. By 2006, well, the RR really took off. And it got to the point where eight of us had this nice, small, quiet little town on lockdown. Nothing really happened without one of us knowing and without me knowing. Well, it got to the point where the group of us, it was a group, we all decided that we needed somebody in charge. Well, they elected me. So I became the commander of the RR. Now, we were mainly doing small tasks. Kind of ones that I'm not going to go into detail about, but yeah. So, but it wasn't until 2011, either 2011 or 2012, that I actually sat down and watched a TV show from 2006 that changed my perspective and got me into survival as well as doomsday prepping. For those of you that have watched it and those of you that haven't, Jericho is the show to watch. That was the show that got me going. Officially got me going. Now, getting a little warm. Now, for part 3, I want to get into a little bit about conditioning your body and preparing yourself. Conditioning the body and dieting. Now, again, these have worked for me. They may not work for you. So please, exercise with caution. If you do try anything that I do, I am not held responsible for anything that may negatively happen. Just putting it out there, because as my viewers, I do have a tendency to care a little bit. I don't want to see any of you get hurt doing what I do that works for me. Give it a try if you want, but don't hold me responsible. Now, conditioning. You want to be able to prepare yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally for anything that is to happen. Now, that's where the hard part comes in. That's the hard part. Because, much like with knowledge, you want to know what your body is capable of doing, what your body isn't capable of doing, and push to those limits. Because you never know what you're really capable of until you step out of your comfort zone and break those limits that you put yourself on. So say you can only lift 100 pounds. How do you know you can only lift 100 pounds unless you try to break that barrier? You need to break it. You can do anything, you guys. Seriously. Believe in yourself. The smallest bit of faith in yourself goes the longest way. But not just that, but you really have to believe. You really have to have faith in yourself and what you can do. Otherwise, it's going to fail. And how do you know unless you try? Success is not built on how many times you succeed in trying, but how many times you've tried and failed and corrected where you failed. So with that being said, let's get right down to it. Me, on a day-to-day basis, I work out. It doesn't matter if it's at work, at home. I spend 8 hours a day working out, if not more. For about 35 to 40 minutes, I am walking every day. I'm on my feet all day in boots. And it takes a toll. It does take a toll on the feet. It really does. But it's better. Because let's face it, you can't get into some areas wearing tennis shoes. So, I opt out for boots. So, 35 to 40 minutes it takes me to walk one way to work. Then I'm on my feet all day, lifting, pushing, pulling, twisting, bending in every form of direction possible with parts, iron castings that weigh anything from a gram up to 300 pounds. That's a lot of weight, especially for iron. But those of you that work in the industrial setting with parts, factory-wise, like the foundry where I work, you know that it will take a toll on your body. And it will wear you down. It will break you down. Which is okay. It's okay if that happens, people. Do not give up. Don't throw in the towel if you can't do something. Keep trying. Push yourself to continue. Because that is what's going to help condition you mentally. The frustrations, the anger, the disappointments, the depression, whatever it takes, all those negative feelings you gotta push past. Believe in yourself. I believe you can do it. I firmly believe you can do it if you give it a try. Now, it helps with mental condition you mentally, because in any form of survival situation, combat situation, you're going to be met with different levels of something that is going to test your limits. It's going to test those boundaries. Now, you can't necessarily prepare for those kind of situations unless you've been through them and you're expecting them, because like the old saying goes, always expect the unexpected. Be prepared for what is to come next. Whether you know what it is or not, be prepared and be expecting it. Life is full of unknown mysteries. Be prepared, people. So know what your body is capable of doing and push past that. Now, again, I work out for 8 hours a day. My body is physically sore and exhausted, but I keep pushing past it. My diet consists of maybe 2 meals a day. And that's usually at night around 4 o'clock for supper time. That's it. The rest of the time I'm snacking and drinking. That's the other thing too. Hydration. Drink plenty of fluids, people. You want to drink fluids. You want to keep yourself hydrated as much as possible. You want to keep your muscles hydrated as much as possible. I'm not saying go overboard and drink 8 gallons of water. I'm not saying go, don't drink water. But be hydrated. Stay hydrated while conditioning your body. Because in some cases, you may have to go a while without water. You may have to go a few hours without water. You never know. That is where conditioning your body, test your body to see how long you can go without water before you finally need to get a drink of water or Gatorade, whatever. Doesn't matter. But stay hydrated at the same time. Try. If you're looking to try something in dieting, cut back on your meal intake. Now, the reason why I say cut back on your meal intake is because, yes, having a full stomach is great, but in my experience, having a full stomach only slows the body down. It slows eating a lot to the point where I'm full every day. It slows my thinking down. It slows my mental processing down, and it slows my body down physically. So I cut back on how much I eat to ensure that I can still operate enough at a good enough pace, as well as remaining full, even if it's like eating a granola or something. Like I said, it doesn't hurt to try it. It's worked for me. Just don't hurt yourself doing it. Now, that's physical preparation. That's conditioning your body physically. Mentally, it's a little bit harder because there's anxiety, there's depression, there's all the feelings of anger, aggression, upset, disappointment, and so much more that we have to push past. And even our thoughts will slow us down. Our biggest enemy is our own selves. We are our own problem. Because our mind works in 2 ways, people. 2 ways. Our mind is like a factory where there are 2 foremen, Mr. Positive and Mr. Negative. Now, if you start the day off right, the first thing you wake up in the morning you want to do is you want to tell yourself today's going to be a great day, because then that's going to kick in the first foreman, Mr. Positive, into believing it's going to be a good day. The weather could be shitty, work could suck, things at home could be going south no matter what, but it's still a good day. It's still going to be a good day because you are alive. You woke up this morning with a heartbeat, air in your lungs, and that fighting spirit that we all need to have. We want to continue to have Mr. Positive as the main foreman. Because with a positive attitude, we can push past things mentally and physically and emotionally. Now, with Mr. Negative, if we wake up and our first thought is, well, today's gonna fucking suck, now Mr. Negative is gonna kick in and come up with all forms of reasons and excuses as to why today's going to fucking suck for you. We don't want that. We want to try and fire him. We want to try and get rid of him. So by feeding ourselves positive thoughts, positive self-feedback, we can promote Mr. Positive quicker and make him stronger throughout the day. Now that's mental conditioning. Emotionally, it's a little hard because we all have different ways of processing emotions, which is okay. But the best thing to do is not to try and get as overwhelmed as some of us normally do. Find some way to keep yourself calm and balanced emotionally. Do something to help keep you positive. Do something to help keep those positive emotions flowing strong and steady. Now, in some cases, it's really hard to do that. It really is. For example, in a combat situation, you really never know what to expect in a combat situation. You never do. All you know is that when it comes down to it, you need to find some way to mentally, physically, and emotionally prepare for the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, whether some people like it or not, is you may have to kill somebody. In civil war, if a civil war were to break out in the country, or one town is to go to war with another town, much like what happened with Jericho in the TV show Jericho, towards the end of season 1. Killing somebody is not only emotionally and mentally draining, but physically, because you don't know what to do. You literally almost have no idea what to do. Forgive the sounds of traffic. If you can barely hear me, I do apologize. It is rush hour. It is 2 p.m. It is a little after 2 in the afternoon. We're going to play a little game of Frogger here. Running across a major roadway. Alright, so with killing somebody is you go through a lot of emotions, you go through a lot of mental anguish, and a lot of physical anguish as well. Because, let's face it, you just took another human life. For those of us that hunt, being able to disconnect ourselves mentally and emotionally from killing an animal is one thing. But we need to be able to find some way to train ourselves to be able to physically do that if it need be, if it comes to killing a human. Yes, I know what some of you are thinking. Well, killing a human is much more different than killing an animal. Yes and no. Yes, because it's another human being. It's a living being, much like you are. How would I feel if somebody were to kill me as if I were an animal? Well, tough shit on my end then, I guess. But it's the same thing as killing an animal, because an animal is a living, breathing organism that gives birth. Much like with deer hunting, with white-tailed deer hunting. These animals give birth, they eat just like we do. The only difference is they have fur, 4 legs, their intelligence is maybe a little bit better than ours, maybe a little not so better than ours. I don't know. I am not a white-tailed deer expert, nor am I claiming to be one. But being able to disconnect emotionally and mentally from killing an animal almost plays into the same effect as killing a human. Because with all that mental conditioning and emotional conditioning, as well as mental and emotional disconnection from killing, we should be able to not hesitate on killing somebody if it happens. If it comes right down to it, you need to honestly put yourself in the mindset that it is either you and your family and your loved ones, or the person coming after you to take your supplies and to kill you and your family and your loved ones. That's the scary reality about it. Now, again, with dieting, back to dieting. You want to find something that works for you. I'm not saying go out and try Jenny Craig, Atkins, Slim Fast, going to GNC, and getting a bunch of creatine and shit like that. No, just because I work out 8 hours a day does not mean I'm wanting to get huge. Me working out is not me wanting to get huge. It is me wanting to maintain my body strength, my body endurance, as well as my physical condition. Because we all know the lighter the weight with the more reps, you're toning. The heavier the part with more or less reps, you're adding strength, you're adding muscle. Now, I'm doing a little bit of both. The fact that I eat as little as I do, but remain as hydrated as I do, means that my body is feeding off of my body fat as well as, muscle sometimes. I am putting my body through hell. Whichever way you want to look at it, I eat less, so this way I'm not getting as much muscle mass as I should be when I work out, but whatever, I don't care. Like I said, it's not about size. It's not about how big you can get to intimidate your enemies. Knowledge will intimidate your enemies. Planning and preparing will intimidate your enemies. Because let's face it, what you're doing to train right now, your enemies are doing just as well. You have no idea what your enemies are doing to train. Whether you have enemies or not, you don't even know yet. We won't know until the shit hits the fan, people. And we need to be physically, emotionally, and mentally ready. We need to have some form of diet, because in worst case scenarios, food is going to become scarce. Water may become scarce. Wherever you live, food and water are going to become scarce at some point in time. And it's going to be hard, because then you got to ration your food. Then you have to split your food rations between you and God knows who else. You don't know. That is why it's always best to condition your body for such a case. If you know food is going to be scarce at some point, then start eating less. Because then your body's going to start getting used to less and less food, less and less water, which is going to help your body develop its own way of producing energy. It's going to develop its own way. It's going to evolve. So, with all that, with the dieting and conditioning go hand in hand. No matter which way you toss the coin. Your diet is conditioning your body. Because let's face it, some of us eat when we're bored. Sometimes I do. That's where small snacks come in. But dieting is going to help with your conditioning. You want to do something physically, mentally, and emotionally to condition yourselves, to help prepare yourself for what the future holds. At this point, much like with what's going on in Virginia, I don't watch the news. The news is filled with nothing but bad shit. We have a war going on overseas that nobody wants, but it's to keep America free. We have terrorists constantly threatening and trying to hurt America. While at the same time, we have career politicians that have been in office for so long, they forgot what their fucking oath to office was. Whether it's the Senate, Congress, House of Representatives, whatever the case may be. These career politicians are assholes because they feel that they're entitled to take your rights, my rights, our rights as Americans away from us. Much like the Second Amendment, which is bullshit. So we need to be ready, because it could be terrorists coming and invading the U.S. It could be our own government coming to do something stupid. We don't know what is going to happen in the future. And one way or another, we need to be prepared. We need to think of all cases where something could go wrong, where we need to be physically conditioned, mentally conditioned, or at least physically, mentally, and emotionally prepared for whatever happens, people. Now, My political views are my political views, your political views are your political views. Either way, this is not a political debate. I don't vote Republican, I don't vote Democrat, because personally, in my opinion, Republicans are the guys with the bad ideas. Democrats are the ones with no ideas. One can stand up in Congress and say, I've got a really bad idea. The other guy's going to stand up and I can make it shittier. I'm sorry. I do not trust my government. I trust the men and women who fight for our freedoms every day. I trust the men and women, the brothers and sisters, the fathers, the mothers, the nieces, the nephews, the uncles, the aunts, who are dying for this country. I stand with them. I stand with our American soldiers, not our government. Yes, we had some presidents that have done great. We've had some presidents that have done not so great. Either way you look at it, America's never been great to begin with, people. I'm sorry. Just for the sole purposes, how much land did we take away from the Native Americans? How many Native Americans, Apache Indians, Cherokee, Lakota, Menominee, the Crow, Blackfeet, how much land and how many men, women, and children did Americans slaughter to get land, to expand this country to what it is now? Americans have slaughtered so much and taken so much from Native Americans. I am part Native American. I am actually part Lakota Indian. And that's just a little spit. But our government is tight.